Welcome to the program. I'm Okpeyemi Owoshini. We start off with business news. As President Bola Tinubu prepares to present to the National Assembly the 2025 national budget, largely started with funding by borrowing, the Nigerian government is set to overshoot its domestic borrowing target for 2024 by 4 trillion naira. That's about 67% above the budgeted amount. Now, these are coming despite the widespread concerns over the continued rise in the nation's debt stock. Details of the domestic borrowing activities of the government in the 11 months to November 2024 is already showing borrowing in excess of 2.93 trillion naira, or 46% above the target as of November. According to reports, the Nigerian government had borrowed 8.93 trillion naira from domestic investors in the 11 months from January to November, about 11 million naira as against the 6 trillion naira planned for the whole year. Now, with this trend and other borrowing activities currently being executed, the Nigerian government may end up borrowing 10 trillion naira in 2024. That's about 67% above the target for the year. And revenue generated from rail transport fell by 4.7% year-on-year to 2.19 billion naira in the third quarter of 2024, from 2.3 billion naira in the corresponding period of 2023. The National Bureau of Statistics disclosed this in its rail transportation data for the third quarter of 2024. The breakdown of the revenue shows 1.7 billion naira was received from passengers, while 412.7 million naira was collected on goods and cargoes, and 51.85 million naira received from the movement of goods and cargoes through pipelines. It also generated 34.77 million naira from income line, categorized as other receipt. The Bureau also said that 743.205 passengers traveled through the rail system during this period. We'll take a break now and be back with more stories from the corporate world. Welcome back. The African Development Bank has offered strategic recommendations for Nigeria and other African nations to address escalating debt burdens and foreign exchange challenges. These insights were shared by the bank's Vice President for Economic Governance and Knowledge Management, Kevin Urama, during an interview with journalists. Addressing Nigeria's debt profile, Urama noted that debt, when strategically deployed, can serve as a powerful engine for economic growth. The AFDB's chief economics, however, expressed concerns about the rising reliance on short-term, high-cost commercial loans in African countries, which increases refinancing risks. And Norwegian energy giant Equinor has announced a decision to end its almost 31-year business partnership with Nigeria after finalizing the sale of its oil asset. A statement by the company said the sale of its asset was completed on December 6, 2024. The value of the transaction amounted to $1.2 billion, consisting of a purchase price of $710 million and a remainder in contingent payment. The divestment of assets and exit from operation in Nigeria were first announced in 2023. We'll take a break now, but when Money Matters return, we'll be discussing operators of point-of-sale terminals raising their charges in line with the implementation of the electronic money transfer levy of 50 naira by the Federal Inland Revenue Service. I'll bring you details after this break.
Hello, Alahaji. Right now I'm in Abuja. No. Hello, Adamu. Right now I'm in Kano. Yes. When I get back, I will just call you. Look, what is wrong with you? I'm talking on the phone and you are gesticulating and doing. What's wrong with you?
Daddy, where exactly are we as we speak?
Are you alright? This is Lagos.
Well, you just lied to someone that we're in Abuja.
Keep quiet. Who told you you can tell an elderly person is lying?
Daddy, you just lied. And by lying, you're raising corrupt children for the future of Nigeria. That is corruption, not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
Welcome back. Operators of point-of-sale terminals have raised their charges in line with the implementation of the electronic money transfer levy of 50 naira by the Federal Inland Revenue Service charge on early electronic inflows of 10,000 naira and above. Several fintech platforms have also notified their customers that they will start the collection of 50 naira as an electronic money transfer levy in compliance with the Nigerian government's Stamp Duty Act, which will be remitted to the Federal Inland Revenue Services. They clarified that the levy applies to all electronic inflows of 10,000 naira or more, except where the electronic inflow is within accounts owned by the same user. Now, this comes at a time when citizens are battling with a resurgence of widespread and intense cash rationing by banks, having compounded the severe economic challenges confronting Nigerians, driven by high prices of goods and services. Now, let's discuss this further. Economist Ogunsola now joins me on the program. Thank you for joining me on the program, Mr. Ogunsola. Now, how do you perceive the long-term impact of the 50 naira electronic money transfer levy on fintech sector in Nigeria? Do you think it will discourage usage of mobile money platforms and POS services in the long run, particularly as digital transactions continue to grow globally?
I don't think that will discourage the use of the transaction. I mean, the point of sale and other fintech applications, because the convenience for the users and the kind of assurance and guarantee that the users actually get from it makes them to actually want to go more for it. So it might not really discourage people from using that platform.
Now, with Nigeria's fintech sector being one of the fastest growing in Africa, do you think imposing this levy could slow down innovation or investment in the digital financial services? And then how might this also impact the development of mobile banking and other financial innovations?
Right. The with the growth, with the level of growth of the fintech company and the fintech application in Nigeria, I think people will get to embrace it more, because the challenge that we're having now in the conventional banking, sector, especially for the commercial banks, of customers not being able to have access to cash, people are, delving towards the fintech, applications, POS machines, because they get kind of more guarantee. They receive their money, quickly. You get the alert quickly. You get your cash as fast as possible. So that is actually encouraging people to embrace these fintech operators much well. And I believe that in the next 6 months, we're going to see another, very high push, in the growth of this fintech industry.
Now, this particular levy is applied to digital inflows. Do you foresee a potential shift back towards cash transactions, especially in low-income and rural areas where the usage of digital payments may be less prevalent?
It's not going to, because 50 naira, I believe many Nigerians will, overlook this levy, even if the levy is going to be passed on to the final consumer, which is the person that is actually making the payment through the platform. That levy might be, transferred to the final person that is using the platform to make payment. And I don't think that will discourage the persons or the people that are using that platform to pay. The only thing that it will cause is that it will make the price of the maybe goods or services that is being transacted on through that platform. It will increase that price by that 50 naira or even more. So that's just what's going to happen. But it might not really discourage people, because the reachability, we still have some places that are not, the banks are not easily reachable to them. The banks does not have network sometimes, and sometimes they say they don't have cash, and people are now, demanding for cash. So people will still like to go for such platforms because of the assurance and the guarantee they get from it. So that will not really discourage. I don't think that is a very strong penalty to actually discourage people from using that platform.
Well, according to the Nigerian government, this particular levy aims to increase government revenue. Now, do you think this approach will yield significant financial gains for the government? Well, alternatively, could the cost of collection and potential market distortions negate the benefits?
Oh no, the benefit of government generating more revenue from such levy is actually there because we have millions of people using this platform per annum. I think close to about 100 will actually transact, either to do transfers or withdraw. So if government is charging 50 naira addition to what they've been charging before or what is being put now, I think the revenue of government will actually increase. So yes, revenue generation for government, but what we are saying is that the bottom line is that the impact will go to the price of the goods or the services that has been, traded using this platform. So the sellers will pass that charge to the final consumer, and thereby the prices will actually go up. But for the revenue, government will make revenue from the 15 naira levy, and it's going to be huge, So that will be achieved, but I don't think that will discourage people from using the platform.
Now, let's talk about POS operators generally. Now, how do you think the implementation of this levy will affect POS operators, especially those in rural and underserved urban areas? Will these operators face operational challenges in complying with the new tax, and how might this affect their cost structures, seeing that they actually do not have a choice with this levy? They have to comply with what the Nigerian government wants.
Well, looking at the POS operators, I don't think this will affect their business. The business will still thrive because the reason why people prefer to use the POS operators is because of the cost. When you sit down and you calculate the cost of transportation to the nearest automated teller machine or the nearest banking hall, you discover that you spend more than 50 naira. So it's a kind of penny wise and pound foolish for you to say, oh, I'm not going to use the POS, let me transport myself to the bank. You will discover that you spend more than that 15 naira. So people will still prefer to use the POS, and the POS operators will still have a lot of patronage for their business, and that's just what's going to happen. The 50 naira will not really cause so much negative impact on the POS operators, because even as we speak, the POS operators have increased their charges, especially for withdrawal of cash, possibly because we are going into the festive period. So the POS operators are really they are really in business as we speak, despite the 50 naira that the CBN has levied on them. So I think their business and their operation will still rather more increase than actually having a negative impact.
Now, given the existing hikes in POS fees, how sustainable is this model for POS operators and consumers? Do you anticipate a further increase in POS charges as a result of this levy, bearing in mind that some POS operators have already started increasing their levy?
Yeah, just like I've said, the levy will be passed to the customers, the people that are patronizing the POS. The 15 naira levy will be passed on to them by way of increasing the charges that they do charge customers and people that patronize them. So, and people will still be willing to pay. That's the irony of it, because just like I said, even the cost of transporting yourself or moving to the next automated teller machine or the banking hall is still higher than 50 naira. So it's better for people that are, even in the interior, very far distance away from the bank, to actually use the point of sale. And apart from that, people consider the instant, payment through this platform is actually reliable. We've not had any complaints so far about these platforms, and people prefer that. That's why small businesses today, they prefer to use that, POS of the fintech companies than the POS of the conventional commercial banks. So the business will still continue to grow. And I think it has come to stay. The CBN might not be able to discourage people now with the 15 naira levy, except maybe there will be another way that CBN can come to impose some sanctions on them. But as far as it is now with the 15 naira, I don't think that will make people not to patronize them.
Now, the social media reactions show widespread dissatisfaction with this particular levy. Now, how important do you think public perception in the effectiveness of this tax, and what steps do you think the Nigerian government should take to better communicate the benefit of this levy for citizens? That if there's any benefit at all for the Nigerians, I meant to say.
Just like you said, that's if there's any benefit, because I don't see any benefit of that levy on the people, rather than the benefit of government having to generate more revenue. That's just the benefit to government. Government revenue is going to increase. But apart from that, there's no other benefit. Rather, it's going to be, at the detriment of the people, because the people will have to pay that levy, not even the operators or the POS or the fintech business. They get to pass on the charges to the people. So it's going to have a negative impact on the people. So their businesses will still go, people will still decide to use it because possibly there is a very low rate of network failure or being charged and not refunded. The smooth operation, people are looking for quality service delivery of the banking sector, and that's what they're actually patronizing. The 50 naira will not actually deter them from using that platform.
Now, even though 15 naira seems like a very small amount of money, do you think this tax is poorly timed, particularly considering the current economic challenges and climate in Nigeria? And how should the government policy evolve in line with macroeconomic conditions in the country?
Despite that the 15 naira looks minute, people can easily overlook that charge, even if it is passed on to the customers. I think the timing is actually not too good, but the CBN has its own reasons for doing all this, because currently we've seen people leaving the banks and going to the POS for withdrawal of cash, because we have cash crunch in the economy now, scarcity of cash. The banks are not dispensing cash. The CBN is saying, if there's anyone that's gone to the bank and you can't get cash, please report. But still, the cash seems to be very scarce. So people have no other choice than to go to the POS. But the question is, we don't know where the POS operators are actually sourcing their own cash from. Probably maybe there might be some saboteurs, because we've seen that the amount of cash in circulation has increased. And yet the bank are still finding it very difficult to dispense cash. So, but people get this cash from the POS operators, and the fintech companies, their network is actually good. People are going for that. Even if you cannot give me cash, then you have to pay through one of the fintech companies to pay my money, and that's what is actually happening. So the timing is not good, because we are already entering a time that prices of things usually go up because of festivity. So government will have considered that, okay, because of the festivity that is coming up, they need to find a way to ease, transactions. People will be doing a lot of shopping this season. So the timing might not be too good. They should have waited a little, maybe after the festive period. But since they have done that, possibly they feel that the 15 naira charge may deter people from using such platform. But with what is happening, I don't think that will discourage people.
Now, just before I let you go, Mr. Ogunsola, currently there is cash shortage in the country. People have been unable to get money from banks, and this is something we see happen during the Yuletide season every year. Now, how do you think this can be addressed permanently?
Yeah, for me, I think possibly there might be some saboteurs in the system, because CBN has released data that we have close to about 10 trillion or so. I can't really remember the figure now, of fee of cash that is in circulation. But despite that statistics, despite that figure, we still find cash being scarce, in the economy, which is a problem. So possibly, maybe there are some persons that are stacking this cash somewhere that we don't know. So that's why CBN is actually monitoring. And yes, it's within the confines and the powers of the CBN to monitor flow of cash in the economy. And that's why they are doing that. But probably they should have done a better plan for the Yuletide season, because we know that during the Yuletide season, a lot of shopping, transactions actually going on. So that's why we say the timing might not be too good. But I think they're on top of the situation. They are trying to see how to manage the situation. They've issued out circulars. They've, given instruction to the commercial banks to even increase the amount of cash that they can pay over the counter, just to ensure that this cash crunch doesn't really affect the prices of goods and services. So I think they're on top of the situation, and I believe that they can still undo it if they can strategize better and take, another very good decision, so that the cash can be available for people to actually use during the Yuletide season.
Well, economist Akin Ogunsola, many thanks for lending your thoughts on the program. That's it on this episode of the program. Many thanks for watching. I'm Okpeyemi Owoseni. See you next time.